Hi everyone, my name is Cynthia Wade and I'm the founder and managing director at do-over.me. We're here this afternoon to talk about one of my all-time favorite subjects, and that's strengths. What are strengths? Why is understanding and owning your own strengths so important to your ability to thrive and to be successful in a career? We're going to explore everything that there is to know, well, maybe not everything, but a lot about strengths during the month of September. And because it's such an important topic, I wanted to give you just a little peek into some of the things that we're going to be talking about during the month of September so you can get started right away on doing your own exploration and find out just how much you love this topic. So, let me just go back before we go forward and tell you that I first became interested in strengths when I picked up this book, First Break All the Rules. For those of you who know me, it's not a surprise. I often characterize myself as a rule breaker. And so this title really appealed to me. It was written by Marcus Buckingham, whose name you're going to hear quite a lot over the next few weeks, and Kurt Kaufman, when they were both working at the Gallup organization. Gallup, what is Gallup? Maybe you've heard of it, but do you really know what it is? So I did a little research and found out that some of the names that are in this area of strengths that you're going to be hearing us talk about over the next few weeks are very common names, but it's interesting how they all fit together. So you're going to hear us talking about, as I said, Marcus Buckingham, and certainly Kurt Kaufman, and another guy by the name of Tom Rath, who wrote this book, Strengths Finders 2.0, which a lot of you may have heard about and read and taken the assessment in. But they all came together under the guise of a guy by the name of Donald Clifton, because Donald Clifton founded SRI, Selection Research Incorporated. And then he, in turn, bought out the Gallup organization and proceeded to build under the name of Gallup. And so the SRI name fell by the wayside. Marcus Buckingham worked with him until 2006, when he founded his own business called the Marcus Buckingham Company, which was acquired in 2017 by ADP. The bottom line is that between what the Gallup organization started under Marcus Buckingham and Don Clifton is still going on at Gallup, and it's also being done with a little bit different kind of a spin by Marcus Buckingham at ADP. So that's kind of all of the major names and players and how they fit together. During the time that Marcus Buckingham has been involved in strengths and defining strengths and helping us to learn how to use our strengths, he's written 9 books, some of them on his own and some of them with a partner. They're all masterpieces and really have their own spin on what strengths are and how to use them most effectively. So one of the things that you have to get straight in your head before you can even begin to tackle this subject is, what is a strength? Because it's not what you might traditionally think of in terms of when people talk about strengths and weaknesses. And you really need to have a clear and consistent understanding of that pops up immediately when you start to think about it and talk about it so that you don't have to do the mental flip-flops in your head about what we as a society might traditionally think of as a strength versus what in Buckingham's language is a strength. So let me talk to you a little bit about that so that you can start to understand it. What Buckingham says is that strengths are not necessarily the things that you're good at, but rather they're the things that give you strength. So in other words, what he's saying is that we can be good at several different things, have the natural abilities, the natural talents, which is a strength, and then also have developed the skills, which are learned, in order to do, let's say, accounting well. Not me, but somebody else. So you could say in the other world that accounting and numbers are your strength. But if you don't love accounting and numbers and doing your job every day with accounting and numbers, according to Marcus Buckingham, that would not be your strength. It would be a natural talent, maybe a skill that you've developed that you were good at, but unless it gave you strength, it wouldn't be your strength. And what is important about this is understanding that looked at in that way, everybody has strengths, and we get to define our own strengths. Now, in most cases, strengths are not going to be things that we're bad at, but not because they drain us, but rather or not because we're not good at them, but rather because they drain us. Let me say that again to clarify. So, if a strength is something that you do well and that gives you strength, that you enjoy and that feeds you, then a weakness is not always something that you're necessarily bad at, but rather something that drains you. So the reality is that, like that accountant person that I talked about, you can have a strength that other people might identify for you as a strength, a natural talent or a skill, but you may not determine it's your strength because it really drains you. And in that case, it's your weakness. And this is a really important thing to remember because not everything that we're naturally good at or that we've learned to be skillful at is going to be something that we're going to identify as our strength. And it's important because the research across the board shows us that people as individuals and as people that work for organizations or who build their own organizations are always the most happy, the most successful, thrive the most in their personal and professional lives when they're doing something every day that's utilizing their strengths. Think about it. If you are in a situation where every day you get to use your strengths, you're constantly being filled up. You're constantly being the recipient of all of that positive energy of you leading with your strengths. Whereas if you're in a situation where you're being called upon to use a natural talent or skill, but one that doesn't energize you, that doesn't leave you feeling refreshed and energized, but rather depletes you, then you're going through your day, every day, all day, being sucked dry. And that is so important because at do-over.me, our goal, our mission is to support with practical, proven, and professional support skills anybody who's looking for meaningful employment. And hey, Employment can't be meaningful if it's sucking the life out of you every day. You may have a great salary as an accountant in one of the big four accounting firms, but if you aren't using your strength, if that accounting talent and skill is really a weakness that's sucking you dry every day, guess what? It doesn't matter. At some point, it's going to get to the point where it doesn't matter how much money you're making. They're not going to pay you enough for you to want to be able to stay and do that job because it's a job where you're not using your strengths. There's a lot of different ways that we're going to talk about strengths during the month of September, but really it all boils down to three things. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. The first thing is you need to be able to name your strengths. You need to be able to call them out by name. And then the second thing is to own them. Make sure that you understand everything it is about your strengths, what you're bringing to the table, why those are your strengths, and how they can contribute. And the third thing is you need to aim your strengths. And what does that mean? It means that you need to know enough about what your strengths are and what you can do with them that you're going to be intentional. You're going to aim and apply your strengths in your life. And this is true both on a personal and a professional level. You want to be constantly finding yourself in situations where you're going to be wanting to use your strengths by knowing how to claim them and then aim them in a way that's going to be most fulfilling for not only you, but the other people in your life, whether they're your friends and family in your personal life, or whether they're your colleagues and your peers and your bosses and managers in your professional life. Either way, the three things that you need to remember are name your strengths, claim your strengths, own them and what they're going to allow you to do, and then 3, aim your strengths. Push them intentionally in the positive direction that's going to give you the results that you need. In a nutshell, that's what we're talking about during the month of September. But of course, you know, it's really much more complicated than that. So we have a whole series of events planned for you. We have a book review, we have some free workshops, and then at the end of the month, we're going to have a really in-depth workshop on strengths. So my takeaway for you today is start now. Start today. Don't wait. Go right out now to the library or to Amazon or whomever you get your books from. And I would start with this one, Strengths Finder 2.0. And if you buy it used, make sure you buy a copy with the disc in it. If you choose not to buy the book, you can also look up Gallup and go online and purchase the Strengths Finder assessment for only $19.99 or $95. I can't remember. Anyway, the bottom line is that it's not expensive to get the top 5 strengths. Gallup in their model has 34, but that's more expensive to purchase. For our purposes right now, let's start you out with 5, and then we're going to be able to build on those. If you want to go with Marcus Buckingham's version, he's got a new book out. Let me just turn around here. And his new book is called Stand Out 2.0. And right now, Marcus Buckingham is giving away free assessments. Now, his are a little different from Gallup, and you may want to take both in order to be able to see where you are in both situations. But you're going to find that if you do take both, they're going to play really well together. And what I would suggest to you, do that now. Start digging into it and finding out, number one, what are the names of your strengths? And then number two, how to claim those strengths. So that's my takeaway for you today. Get started today with either one of those books and either one of those assessments so that when we start things off on September 1st, you're going to already be able to name your strengths. And then join with us for the entire month of September with all the different activities that we have and learn how to claim your strengths, how to own them, what they really mean, and then most importantly, how to aim them in your current career, how to aim them in your job search. We're going to have some special workshops on how to use your strengths on your resume to make your resume stronger, your LinkedIn profile stronger, and your interviews stronger. Because if you can learn how to use these strengths, aim them intentionally, I guarantee you that you're going to see more results. And the last thing we're going to talk about is how they work in the overall atmosphere of a team at work. You know, one of the reasons why this all got started was because Don Clifton realized that people don't leave companies. People leave their managers. And you guys all know this, right? When we ask you, well, why are you thinking about making a move? Why did you make a move? It almost always comes down to a person, not to the company. So Clifton's idea was if we can start to learn more about people and what they're bringing to the table, we can put the right team of people together so that everybody is being able to use their individual strengths, and the strengths on the team are balanced so that the team becomes super effective. You know, if you're a sports person like I am, you can think of all of the great teams. And the reality is that, you know, how good would the 1985 Bears have been with Jim McMahon at quarterback if they didn't have Walter Payton in the the backfield? How good would they have been if they didn't have that Buddy Ryan defense on that side of the ball? And how many standouts were there on that defensive squad? What made that team great in 1985 when they won the Super Bowl was no individual player, but rather the team that came together. And we're going to talk about that too. How do you recognize your natural strengths, but how do you also recognize other people's and get them to name it, to claim it, and then how do you bring them all together to aim them all so that your team is the most successful? I think this is just such a fun topic. So please follow us on our website, do-over.me, or watch us on social media for all of the different things that are coming up. We're typically on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And participate with us. Share with us what your experiences have been, and we'll all learn how to do this better together. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you've learned something today, and I hope I'll see you in some of the meetings that we have scheduled for the month of September. But for now, take care and remember that you're going to grow the most in the areas where you're already strong. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.